A third person is pretty darn amazing. I first saw Jennifer Chayes at the Joint Summit, and she was kind of hanging out with Governor Newsom and a colleague of hers from Stanford, Fei Li, and they were talking about the state of AI in California. I mean, this woman has technical chops, there's no doubt about it, okay? She's a mathematician. She's worked in Microsoft and real, tech world. She's a co-inventor of 30 patents. And then I really rehearsed this. She's a co-inventor of the field of graphons. Did I say that right? Does anyone know what a graphon is? We'll ask Jennifer, okay? But what I mostly responded to when I was watching Jennifer Chayes was she just felt like this bundle of warmth and someone who's connected in a very deep way to people. And I wanted to immediately start working with her because of who she is, and therefore the work she does is going to be a representation of her values and who she is. So let me bring up and introduce you to the one and only Jennifer Chayes.
Wow. Low expectations, huh? Thank you so much for that really lovely introduction. It was really very meaningful to me.
So I want everyone, to get a real sense of who you are. So I'm not going to go to all of the technology and all of your resume. I want them to know about your story.
Okay, so my story. I am the daughter of Iranian parents, so I'm first gen. My grandma got married at 9, my mother's mother. My mother could not add fractions. And somehow I had this weird math stuff going on in my head all the time, which of course tells me, and I won the highest award in the world in applied math and all this other stuff after dropping out of high school and living on the streets of New York City, which actually made me a lot tougher and which made me understand that you really have to put yourself out there and create a world in which people have opportunity. So I also told Sonia when I went back to a high school for dropouts, I went to my local community college and I took math classes, so I love that. And my mom took some English classes at a community college, so community colleges are really meaningful to me. I went on to be a professor of mathematics at UCLA. I was tenured at 30, so I tried to make up for the dropout piece. But then I keep jumping to doing different things. So after like 12 years of that, I went to Microsoft and I founded research labs in AI because, it's all math. How hard can it be? Really, it's all math. But actually, AI is so empowering now that you could be like my mom and not know any math and still use it, which is awesome. And then I formed these research groups at Microsoft, and then I thought, after 23 years of that, I need to go to a university and begin to build what I wanted to see in this world, to build a place where we could educate a broad spectrum of society in computing, data science, and all of the ways it interacts with society. I had to go to a public university. I didn't go back to UCLA, I went to Berkeley. Safia, I'm gonna put in a plug for Berkeley, but really Berkeley and UCLA together. But Berkeley, UCLA, and the California community colleges together.
I see Dr. John Hetz there, and I wanted to mention that we're working with Zach Pardos at UC Berkeley. So, Jennifer, when you were talking to the governor, and I was in the audience and just soaking it all up, one of the points that you made and you came back to is the importance of a state, like California, to invest in public sector innovation. That was a phrase, and I wrote it down. Mm-hmm. You kept coming back to the importance of public sector. And you didn't say no to private, you said, but don't forget, So could you help us understand what is sort of behind that emphasis?
Yeah, I mean, as you heard, I was in the private sector for a while. I started public, went private, came back to public. I believe that Gen AI in particular, generative AI in particular, if just concentrated at the biggest companies, and those biggest companies having the exclusive power to develop it, is not going to develop the way we need it to develop. It will it will exacerbate the digital divide. Whereas I think because it's so empowering, and I've used it myself. I mean, I can do the creation stuff, but the things that I've done that have been most powerful with it are almost as a user of it. I just founded a startup last month on using it as a user to help us synthesize materials that pull carbon dioxide out of the air. And I mean, I'm using it in the same way some other people could use it. And I realized in doing that, it is a phenomenally empowering technology. It is something that we all need to recognize. It can give us crazy answers, and we have to question what the inputs of it are. But there are questions that we can ask that enable us to detect when it is giving us something reasonable and when it is not. And we can all be empowered to do that. So what I would like to see, quite frankly, is I would like to see us partner. Because, by the way, the new college I founded a new college at Berkeley, the first one since the 1960s, College of Computing, Data Science, and Society. We graduated in our first graduating class last year, 2,246 students. 26% of all Berkeley undergrads, but I came from Microsoft where we reached 1 billion people, so 2,246 doesn't sound that big to me. Now, Sonia has 2 million students in the community colleges. That starts to be scale. And what I said is that I really want to work with the community colleges to get this into the data science curriculum in the community colleges, and then to go out into our communities. With 116 community colleges, you are in every community. Let us go out into those communities. Let us do the public sector work that should be done. Let us show people how to use AI to empower themselves, not to have it imposed on them as some technology, and to understand how to make all of California the beneficiary of generative AI.
I think Dean Chayes has already answered, what my last question was going to be, right? How do we partner with the California community colleges? I was talking, I think yesterday at the reception with Meredith Lee, and she was, giving me examples of 19 community colleges working with UC Berkeley, and there's so many examples. We should really start putting all of those together and building on it. But any last thoughts on partnerships?
So absolutely. So we're off to a great start. We have actually had a partnership with the community colleges for 8 years. For the past several years, that has been, I mean, first we were doing it on our own dime and our own time entirely. Then we got a boost from California Learning Lab. I think Lark Park is here somewhere. And they gave us a grant for a few of the UCs to work together with some CSUs and some community colleges to get the data science curriculum into the community colleges. In fact, I think 15 of the community colleges now, if you take a data science course, it transfers directly into Berkeley credit if you if you come to Berkeley as a transfer student. And by the way, Zach Pardos, who is the faculty member you mentioned, is working on how he's using AI. He is just awesome. And he is using AI to enable that so that the transfer students who come in are able to just get right into their courses, not miss a beat, not have to spend extra time, which is incredibly important. We also have the designer of the Jupyter, that's Jupyter, that's the Julia language, that's the Python language, and that's the R language. So Jupyter, this platform is the biggest open source platform in the world. It is used in lots of the community colleges. It is used on probably the back end of about half of the technology startups. So we have that founder, Fernando Perez, who was also at that Gen AI Summit, and he has built a platform for our community college curriculum, and it is being used by 22 of the community colleges. So we're approaching 20% there, but I want to see this partnership really strengthened because the superpower of the state of California is the UC system, the CSU system, and the CCC system.
So I think on that note, we should call it a wrap. Let's give it up for the fabulous Dr. Jennifer Chayes.